John, that went well.
What's that, last week? Yeah. Look, it was something that's quite a unique situation with the injury list that West Coast Eagles have got. It's been a long time, probably since you've seen a club so decimated, with injuries. So the good thing is, from our perspective, we still had to go out there and execute what we wanted to do, and our players were fantastic at doing that for the whole length of the game. So that was the really pleasing thing to come out of the game for us.
We saw a shot of you talking to Simo on the sideline on the boundary line after the game. What do you tell a fellow coach after something like that?
No, I don't tell anyone. It's not my role to be telling anyone anything as far as what other clubs are doing. I was just asking about his injury list, and I knew that they only had 2 players in their second squad available over in Perth, and we've found some challenges at times this year when we've had a few injuries, but nothing to the scope that the West Coast Eagles have had to deal with. So there's a reality of that you have to deal with every week. That's tough, and you don't really understand it until you're sitting down, look at the whiteboard, and you've got to pick the team and who's available to play versus who's ready to play AFL football at a high consistent level. And on your squad, there's a number of players that aren't quite at that level every year, and when you get exposed down to some of the players, the younger players that aren't quite ready, it can be a bit difficult.
Chris Scott said yesterday when preparing for this, he's not sure if he should even look at the game on the weekend because he doesn't know what he can actually take out of that when preparing to face you. What did you take out of it then?
It's an unusual game as far as that's concerned. As far as preparation, I can understand why Chris probably doesn't spend much time looking at that. In the end, we did what we had to do, and we move on this week. And from that perspective, it's been very much in our players' minds to put that one aside and know that the contest and the availability of Geelong's team is going to be a fair bit different. We know that more than others, and we'll know what they'll be prepared to give. They've got some couple of players back this week. They'll be even stronger. So we'll prepare for their best.
Just on your injury list, we have a buddy update. How's it going?
He's coming on quite well. He's going to do some training tonight. We're not sure how much just yet. So he's down to do some training. So that's a good sign. He ran on Monday, pulled up well from that. So he's down to do some training tonight. We'll see how that goes, how much training he does before we make an absolute final decision on him. We're just mindful of how much training he needs to do to be able to come back and get ready to play. So we'll make that call tonight.
The fact that he isn't, by the sounds of it, just flying at the moment, is it more likely perhaps another week then?
We'll see how he goes. We just need to get some training into him. There's soft tissue reasons, there's just touch and confidence, but also most important is just see how his knee's going. He ran well on Monday and pulled up really well from that, so that's a good sign. But it goes up a fair bit, obviously in the games, but it'll go up a fair bit tonight as far as how much training we expect him to do. But we don't want to tip him over the edge either. When we want him back, ready and firing to go and feeling as good as he possibly can, knowing that at 36 he's not like he was 5 or 6 years ago, but understanding that we want to give him the best possible chance to play well.
Tom is the other one in the VFL last weekend. Has he pulled up okay from that?
He's okay. He got through the game. We had him time limited on the weekend, so he finished up just the start of the last quarter. So he's pulled up really well, which is a good sign. He's going to train tonight, and we'll make a call after training again on he and see if he's ready to go or not. We understand we still managed him last week. We want him to come in and play well for the rest of the year. Whether that's this week or not, we'll make that call after training.
Just the fact you've got a lot of young firing forwards. Joel had a really good game on the weekend. Logan came back strong. Hayden as well. Mean that you feel like you don't almost have to rush Buddy back in if he's not fully ready?
Well, I think I'm on the record as saying that we wouldn't have played Lance as much as what we did in the first half of the year if it wasn't for we just didn't have any available players as far as to be able to play key position forward for us for the first half of the year. So we needed Lance to play, and thank goodness he played to be able to give us a target up on our front half. So we really appreciated that. But now it's about making sure that we give Lance the best possible chance to play well, and that'll be a conversation between ourselves as coaches and medical staff, and clearly Lance has a big say in that, to be able to give us an indication of what he thinks he needs, what he can do with his knee, what he needs to do in a soft tissue sense, and what he just needs to do in a touch sense. So, we have continuous conversations about that.
If he is to play this weekend, where does he fit in that forward line at the moment when you've got, after such a strong performance by all?
We'll make that call after training. I'm not going to. We'll see how he goes. We're not. Once again, he's going to have to do to train and pull up really well. But we're mindful that we don't want to tip him over the edge either. So it's a balancing act between, understanding that. If he does do some training, how he pulls up the next days, we're conscious of that. So how much training does he do? That's all natural discussions you're going to have with a bloke who's played as much footy as Lance. It's not surprising. It's just one of the things we've got to discuss and take in.
Joel Longmire obviously re-signing yesterday, 3 years. Really good boost for the club, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It's Joel's been fantastic for us. He's been here for a few years and unfortunately had a number of injuries. Hasn't had a really good run at it, even over a pre-season. Hasn't really put together a pre-season yet, but we've seen glimpses of what he can do. And through this rehab period in particular, he's been excellent. His professionalism, his size, his shape now is, he's a big power forward. And we just need to keep making sure that we keep him healthy and on the park. And a different discussion than Lance, but in some ways a bit similar, is making sure that he gets the preparation, but also we don't tip him over the edge. So we're mindful of his speed and powers is enormous. Great that he's committed to the footy club, but we want him on the park every week, and we've got to make sure that he's ready to go as well.
Isaac came back and had a really good game on the weekend, 5 goals there. Hasn't had his best year, but what does it say that he can still put in a performance like that? Is that the sort of a circuit breaker he needs going forward to the rest of the year?
Oh, I think it was a bit of, he played well last week, but we've put that aside pretty quickly and looking to the rest of the year. We missed him the week before up at Brisbane. Clearly he gives us a forward target, but also has played midfield for us this year. We're confident that he's going to play some really good footy in the back end of this year. It's we know what he can do. He trains hard, he works hard. He might have had a few quiet weeks, but then we know what he's capable of doing. We saw that last week, so we're confident he'll be back to his best in the back part of the year.
Has there been much analysis of the past 2 games against Geelong and kind of what went wrong there this week, or is it more just looking at your 2 sort of very different teams now?
No, it's certainly different teams. There's no question about that, and hopefully Callum Mills is not standing on Tom Hawkins in the opposition goal square this week. So that'll be a change. So we're looking at very much ahead. What's ahead of us this week? We know what Geelong can do. We know they're a really good team, but we're also confident what we can do. New opportunity, new game this week, and we need to make sure we give our best, put our best foot forward.
You're on the final run in now, 7 games to go. Does this sort of really feel like, in terms of the finals, a really line in the sand sort of game up here at home?
I haven't played a game that's not line in the sand. I can't remember one in my whole time that I haven't played that hasn't been treated like that. So it's not, I think you have to be mindful of, if you build one game up bigger than the other, then what's that mean for the next game? I think they're all big, they're all important games. And in our players' minds, it's about making sure we give ourselves a chance, both an individual and a team sense, to play really well, and that's what we need to do that this week. We're about what's in front of us now, and understanding that very much, rather than looking too far ahead or too far behind, is what happens on Friday night is important, and we'll go about trying to play our best footy.
With that 7 to go, I know you want to win all of them, you're going to keep the players focused, but behind closed doors, have you looked at the number of games you think it's going to take out of the last 7 to win to make the 8?
No. And that might sound strange, but I've never done that. No matter where we are on the ladder, from if you're top 4 or top of it, you want to be top 2, or you want to make the finals, or I've just never done it. And I find if I started drifting, not doing that the players would as well, and that's just not beneficial for us. So we've got to make sure we put one foot in front of the other, and get our training right tonight, get our meetings right tomorrow, and then get into the Cats.
Does it say how kind of close this competition is, that teams in 14th, 15th are still going, we can make finals this year?
I think the competition, that's what the AFL's built on, isn't it? So it's sort of, the AFL will be thrilled. It's, one of the challenges is, there's some good teams around. Every week's a real challenge, and we play the best from last year this week. Great challenge.
John, on the West Coast game, bit of heat on Simpson following that. Does that surprise you? Do you think that's unfair, given the injury list and where they're at with that?
I don't want to talk too much about West Coast. It's not my role. All I know is that it's pretty hard when you've got 2 in in your waffle team. It's pretty hard to be competitive every week. It's a real challenge. So I think it'd be a challenge for anyone.